All right, guys, one more time. We are back. We are talking with the amazing PJ Morton. He's with us today, and he's talking about his latest release, Gumbo. Now, PJ, I don't do this a whole lot, but every now and then we will have artists that are on here that are not necessarily gospel artists, but they are believers, and they have great music that I believe that we as Christians can enjoy, and you do that with your music. So listen, guys, we're jumping right back into the interview with PJ. PJ, listen, I'm really interested to know your favorite song on Gumbo. I can tell you mine. Now, my favorite song on the album is, well, first of all, I love Claustrophobic, of course, and I love Sticking to My Guns. I love that song. But I think my favorite song on the album is Go Through Your Phone. So let's be clear, not necessarily because I wouldn't, but your musicianship, your creativity on that song, man, it's absolutely amazing. I think that's mine.
Okay. All right. Right. Well, that was this whole album in general, and I don't know that I have a favorite song, but this whole album in general, I really challenged myself to, because as a fan, that I've mostly written about love and relationships. I mean, that's a big part of what I do. But I really wanted to talk about more this time. And as a songwriter, it's always a challenge to get out of that comfort zone. And I've never heard anybody talk about Go Through Your Phone that way. It's such a current type of thing, and I saw people going through it, and I wanted to see if I could challenge myself to write about something like that in a cool musical way. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that one. My favorites change just about every day. They Gonna Wanna Come is one of my favorites on the album. Everything's Gonna Be All Right.
Oh yeah, with the Hamiltones.
Yeah, Hamiltones and BJ the Chicago Kid. Yeah, I call that our soulful church song right there. First Again is really close to my heart because that kind of kicked off this whole album. That's when I knew that I was working on an album, because I had writer's block for a very long time, and First Begin was kind of the first song that kind of sparked it back up and made me feel creative again. So that one will always be, real close to my heart.
So PJ, you are a songwriter, producer, performer, member of Maroon 5, which in itself is extremely hectic. In addition to being a husband and a father, how in the world do you balance it all?
I just try my best to be present in whatever I'm in. My father was a very busy man. Even more back then. He travels a lot now, but not back when they had 5-day revivals. He would be gone for real. But what I learned from him was when he was home, he was just really home, and really you could feel the love. He wasn't just there in the house, because there's some people who work 9 to 5s and come home every day and aren't present, aren't there. So what I learned from my father, and I never felt like he was absent, was that when you're with your family and when you're with your people, or when you're on tour or when you're recording, just be present wherever you are and really try to take advantage of everything that's around you and make sure that you give yourself fully to that. And that's, as hectic as it is, I just try my best to do that.
All right, PJ, you've mentioned some of the people that you've worked with: India Ari, Men of Standard, Dwayne Woods, in addition to so many other people. Out of all of your collaborations, who was the one that stood out the most? Who was the most memorable?
Well, that's a tough question. Very early on, I worked with Kiara Shear, Kiki, and there are always, as a producer, it's your job to kind of find what works best for the artist that you're working with. And I just remember with Kiara, there was nothing that she couldn't do, like no limitations at all as a singer. And I remember that being like a kid in a candy store. It's like, oh man, let's try this, because she could do everything. So that is one that sticks out to me. Of course, the India Ari thing sticks out to me because it was my first mainstream recording.
Interested, right?
Interested, yeah. And I could just remember recording it, and I remember this was the first real mixing session I was in. It was just all big time for me, and so that one is near and dear, man. It's like that's what changed everything for me and let me know that I was supposed to be here, as a writer, producer, artist, whatever. Yeah.
And you are still working hard. I'm actually in Chicago for Jonathan McReynolds' live recording, and so you're working with him on that project. Is that correct?
Right. Well, Jonathan and I, well, he's doing most of that, but I just came in and he wanted me to. He said I'm the live show killer, so he wanted me to help him with his live recording. But I just gave some opinions, just gave some, just some production advice. Unfortunately, I'm actually performing at the New Orleans Jazz Fest on May 5th as well, the same time he's doing his recording, so I won't be there. But I, as you saw, I shot out to Chicago and spent some time with him. But I'll be at the Jazz Fest performing at that time. But yeah, keep him busy. Jonathan is a good friend of mine, and also one of the artists I'm most excited about, especially in Christian music and gospel music. I feel like he's such a breath of fresh air.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Morton Records. You have a group, Jackson Ave, that you've signed, as well as Josiah Martin. You've signed him too. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, they were. Jackson Ave. We actually did a single deal for the song "All These Dreams." We put that out, and we're figuring out what the next step is with Jackson Ave. JoJo is a close friend of mine, and we actually have most of his album done. We put out "Run On" last year, and it's been going well. But both of them were kind of before my full vision of Morton Records came to fruition, which is to focus. We're calling it the Motown of New Orleans, because I want to focus heavily on local talent here in New Orleans, and make sure that we develop it heavily and put it out to the world. I just feel like there's so much talent here, and hasn't been any music industry like infrastructure, which is why I had to leave as well. I wasn't a jazz musician, so my path wasn't clear when I was living in New Orleans as a kid. But now I'm bringing some industry here, and we're building the offices in the studio right now. And really, I feel like, out of all this music stuff, that'll be my real legacy, is taking care of my city and putting out some amazing music from here in the city.
Listen, guys, if you ever get the opportunity to see PJ live, definitely do so. Your shows are always so energetic, and at the same time so intimate. You engage so well with your audience, PJ.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like me and my audience, we go hand in hand. It's like a give and take. It's a love thing going on, So I love it. That's my favorite thing to do, is to be on stage and connect with the people who connect with me.
All right, PJ, we've talked about so much. Listen, thank you again for taking time and for stopping by. And before we get ready to go, I would love for you to share with our listeners, what's one of the things that you have learned to be true as an artist, as a songwriter, producer? What's one of the things that you know to be true about your art and about your creativity?
It sounds so cliche, but I'm telling you that it really clicked for me more than ever this time around. And it took me going all the way around from the indie to, Young Money to Maroon 5, all the way to come back to the way I felt when I made my first album, Emotion. And that is you really got to trust your heart, and you got to be an original. I feel like this is the best time to ever be a creative in this world. I mean, it's the easiest time to be able to create, right? It's like you can have home studios. You used to have to go to these big studios to make albums. You can put it out on the internet on your own. You can get to people on your own. But because of that, the gift and the curse of that is it's the most oversaturated time in music ever.
Right.
There's somebody putting out a link every second for you to check out their music, including me. I want you to buy Gumbo. You know what I'm saying? So it's oversaturated, and the only thing that separates you now, and I mean separates you to have a career, a long-term thing, not just a now thing, is to be yourself, because that's the only thing that makes you different from the next person. And it's important to find the thing that makes you different, the thing that makes you a little quirky, that sets you apart, because that thing is going to be your treasure. That's going to be the thing that makes you laugh and gives people a reason to want to still support you 10 plus later, 10 plus later years, 20 years later, is the thing that makes you different. So embrace that thing and trust that, because that is what God put in you to be that way. He created you that way on purpose, not for you to change it up and try to figure out how to be like somebody else. Be the way He created you. So that's really what I've learned. And I knew that in the beginning, but it's been confirmed over and over for me through these years.
All right, guys, make sure that you check out PJ's album, Gumbo. I think you will enjoy it. And so right now, PJ, on one of your albums, you included, and I love this song, it's a clip, it's a duet between you and your father, Bishop Paul Morton, of you singing the song you wrote for Dwayne Woods, Let Go. So we're going to take a listen to that right now. And again, PJ, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
It's the inspirational power.